not timing you.
Good. All right. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to start out this speech by saying that I love my dad. He's great. This is my dad and I love him. He's great. Now that that's out of the way, I would like to say that I hate my math teacher. This is my math teacher.
Wait, what?
I don't hate him as a person, just the subject he teaches, the boring way he teaches it, and sometimes him as a person, depending on the day. If you haven't figured out by now, my dad is my math teacher, and it's a little awkward because I hate math. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of what it's like to have your dad teach a class you despise. Then, I'm going to explain to you why I despise said class, and finally, we'll look at my life at home, and what it's like to sit across the table from your teacher who knows full well you didn't hand in your homework that day, or week, or month. I'm a procrastinator. So let's jump into the pros and cons. Pro number one was I could ask for the teacher's help outside of class whenever I wanted to. This would have been a huge pro had I used it, but I did it because I was stubborn and I was like, I can do it all by myself, but I was wrong. I was very wrong, and my grade reflected that thoroughly. Secondly, it was convenient. It was so convenient for me, not him. He had to do a lot of stuff for me during his planning period, like go get my math book I frequently forgot, or my lunchbox that I equally frequently forgot. And if there was a field trip form that I needed signing and 5 minutes before the field trip, I could just run up to his room, get it signed, and run back down, and I'm going on the field trip anyway. Thanks for waiting up, guys. Lastly, I could get away with disrupting class. Not that I ever did, without good reason. And that reason was usually to stall so we wouldn't have homework that day. But that never worked because my dad, well, he was always on the ball with the whole homework thing, which brings us to our cons. My dad is the kind of teacher that gave homework every single day, even on days right before a break. So he was by far everyone's least favorite teacher. And they took it out on me. Ooh, Parker, it's spring break tomorrow. I don't want to have homework on spring break. Yeah, neither do I. I don't like it any more than you do. Why are you complaining to me about it? Here's a better question. Why is it that when I get home, Dad's like, Parker, do the laundry. And I'm like, okay. So here I am doing the laundry. And then he's like, Parker, why are you doing the dishes? Because I'm doing the laundry, Dad. I can't do two things at once. That's impossible. Speaking of impossible, my dad was the kind of teacher that gave homework and made me study for all the math tests every single time we had one. But there's a problem with that. You can't study for a math test. It's impossible. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, you can't study for a math test because the study guide could either be easier or way harder than the test. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And two, how am I supposed to practice a problem I don't know how to do, huh? If I just sit there and stare at it for 15 minutes and then break down crying and take a nap, that's not studying. That's having an existential crisis, and that is a con. That is a big, big con.
What's a con?
And finally, I was expected to understand everything in the class because you're the math teacher's son. Obviously, you'd understand what we're talking about. Wrong! Incorrect! I didn't understand anything that went on in that classroom. I could barely remember what lesson we were on, much less what it was about, but people expected me to have the algebraic equation just flowing through my bloodstream or to just throw on their paper at a moment's notice. But guess what? My dad may be a human calculator, yes, but I am a broken calculator. I didn't understand anything we were talking about. Why? Just ask him. He's the teacher. Jeez. Anyway, let's move on to a scientific chart that I created myself that I like to call the Brain Pain Index, or BPI. The BPI has 3 stages. It has mild pain, where my brain's like, that looks pretty stupid, but I think we can do it. These were the algebraic equations with the letters in, 2x plus 7y equals 3. Stupid, but I can do it. Then they take it one step further, to moderate pain, or my brain's like, ow, we should stop before we get a concussion. And I'm like, yes, but we need a grade. These are where they take the letters and make them the majority of the problem. They're called word problems. My least favorite of which were the driving ones, You know, John left California at 12:30 going 200 miles an hour, and his friend Joe followed him later at 12:45 going 210 miles an hour. When will they catch up for lunch? Who cares? I don't care. Here's a better question. When are they going to get arrested for speeding? Yeah, we never get closure on that, do we? Finally, we have severe pain. This was caused by one thing, and one thing only, and that was the Greek alphabet. Whoever put this in math is dead now. And that's a good thing. Because if he wasn't dead, I'd be sending him hate mail every single day, and twice on Tuesday, because this guy hated kids. Here's how a stupid little idea popped in his head. One day, in ancient Greece, some guy was like, "Hey, Patroclus, listen." "What?" "So, okay, I have an idea." "What is it?" We take the numbers, and then we take the hieroglyphs, and we put them together, and BAM! No one graduates high school. You are a genius! Yes, I know, but there's more. How can there possibly... Just listen. We make it a required class, so no one gets into college, guaranteed. You are a god! Yes, I know. I just come up with these ideas all the time. Here is your Oscar. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank my parents. Then, of course, they went to celebrate, right? But his cake was poisoned. Parker, I don't think that's how that actually happened. No, it did. Trust me. That's how it happened in my head, so it has to be true. Finally, I'm going to tell you about my life at home, and a dramatic interpretation of a play that I created called Parker, You Didn't Do Your Homework Today. Let's get started with Act 1, Scene 1. Let's begin.
So I talked to Mr. Klein today.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said you didn't, hand in your homework like you were supposed to.
What? How'd that happen?
You know, I asked him the same thing, and he said, well, when I came to collect the papers from him, he had lost it.
Oh yeah, just couldn't find it anywhere, so I guess I had to start over. Darn. Except I was lying. I wasn't studying last night. I was playing video games last night, and every time he came in my room, I'd just slam my laptop shut, put my math book on top of it, and start writing it around a page. And he bought it every time. And the next day in study hall, I just copied off a friend's paper while they weren't paying attention. And that's how I did all my homework throughout the entire high school career that I've had. Just don't tell my dad, okay? All right, cool. And now we move on to Act 2, Scene 1, Test Day. Hey, Dad, I think I did pretty good on the math test.
Do you?
Well, yeah, because I studied pretty hard, and I think I understood most of the material.
Well, Mr. Klein talked to me today.
What did he say? He said you didn't study very hard, apparently, because you didn't do so hot on the math test.
How bad was it? Was it like disown your kid level of bad, or was it like, oh, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed? Either one will make me cry, but I prefer the second. It's winter. I don't know, I guess I'll have to ask him tomorrow.
Act 3, Scene 1, tomorrow.
Hey, Mr. Klein, what did I get on the math test? I don't know, I haven't graded it yet.
Dad said you graded it last night and I didn't do super well. Your dad's funny and handsome and smart. And sometimes he likes to make you nervous because it's super funny. Oh, well, ha-ha, Dad. That's really funny, Dad. I didn't sleep last night, Dad. Disclaimer, I do not beat up my dad. He doesn't beat me up either, often. Today, I talked to you about the pros and cons of what it's like to have your dad teach a class you absolutely despise. Then, we looked at why I despise said class, and finally, I talked to you about life at home, and what it's like to sit across the table from your teacher who knows you didn't hand in your homework that day. I hope none of you have your parent as your teacher, but if you do, just know, I sympathize.